Nothing. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Closet of Kids Combos Vibes Unleashed. This is your girl Trina, and today we have a live stream going on talking about choosing yourself, embracing setbacks, and finding your way forward. We have two special guests here today. We have Kamisha in the building.
Hello.
And then we have Miss Keezy in the building.
Hello.
And so that's probably why I couldn't see like what's going on, because I didn't realize. I thought it was gonna automatically go live, but we ain't go not too much on the host today. So how y'all been doing today?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain. How you doing, Kamisha?
I'm good. I'm blessed and no complaints.
Okay, cool. So choosing yourself. What does I start with you, Kamisha? What does choosing yourself look like?
Choosing myself is first for me. It starts with my mindset, right? It's kind of like I talk to my daughter all the time about her choosing herself. Is that if you don't choose yourself, how can you expect someone else to? So you got to take care of yourself and put yourself first. So what does that look like? It looks like me, going to the gym and doing what I need to do to nourish myself. So that's the biggest thing. It's like taking care of my mental health and my physical and just taking care of my well-being. So
all right, I'll shoot that same question to you, Keezy.
Yeah, so choosing yourself looks like to me first self-awareness. So being able to recognize the good, bad, ugly, and different about myself. Also just centering everything around self-love as well. Over the past 2 years, I have really been on this self-love journey, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so a lot of those things include a little bit of what Kamisha was talking about in terms of nourishment, making sure that I'm physically healthy and being more cognizant of what I'm eating, what I'm reading, what I'm exposing myself to, and how I'm actually divvying out myself as well. So my time and my energy, that goes both ways. Who's around me and how I'm divvying myself out. So that's what it looks like for me. Being aware, being very aware.
I like that. So, okay, we're talking about choosing yourself. So, Kamisha, when was the last time you felt like you chose yourself?
I actually make it a point to choose myself every day, to be honest. I read it somewhere and it was, or someone may have said it. It was one of those things like, for me, I always extend myself to people, right? And so it's like, what did you do for yourself today? Like, how did you show up for yourself? And so, at the end of the day, that's kind of where I'm at. Is like, at the end of the day, what did I do to show up for myself? Whether it's like, if I didn't do anything, it's like, okay, I need to go to the gym. I've got to do something. Or whether it's, saying no to something, an event or, extra curricular at school or something. It's like, what are you doing for yourself, for your well-being? Because, for me, I always, overextend myself. So it's just a matter of, what did you do for yourself today? Did you show up for yourself?
What about you, Keith? When the last time you chose you, or you felt like you chose you?
So let me say first, I am going to get to where Kamisha is, which is choosing myself daily. However, the last time I feel like I really just chose myself would probably be when I went on a Black woman's wellness retreat, because that was something just that I had never done before. Also, I just had like a lot of initial hesitation and guilt, mommy guilt, particularly like surrounding just doing something solo for myself, by myself. So I think that's just one of the main events that stands out as far as like significance of choosing myself. But I really need to make space to choose myself every day in some capacity. It doesn't have to be as grandiose as a wellness retreat, but it could be something as simple as taking 10 minutes to like do meditation or journaling or, something of that sort. So I'm going for that, girl.
Okay, cool. So you talked about the wellness retreat. If you got one thing out of that, what would that be? What does that look like?
The most significant thing I got out of it, honestly, is grace. Like giving myself grace. So often we are just so self-critical of ourselves. And so just through the activities that were presented, such as one of the things that stands out to me, we did this thing called Give Me My Flowers. And we basically created like these bouquets for ourselves. And so a lot of the activities and things was just around like celebrating ourselves, focusing on like the positives rather than like the negatives, like whatever that may be. So for me, I may not have reached like my goal weight, or I may not be career wise, but okay, well I'm a lot further than where I was. So realizing like the positives over the negatives, and giving myself grace. So I really have been practicing that in totality, especially like as it pertains to motherhood. Just realizing I don't know it all. I'm never gonna know it all. I'm not gonna be the perfect mom, perfect sister, perfect cousin, perfect wife. None of those things. Perfect friend. And to be gracious. God gives us grace every day, so why don't we do it to ourselves?
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that. Um, our next question we'll look at, unless are we finished? Do we want to? Is there anything else we want to say as far as just what choosing yourself look like?
No, but I do want to piggyback off of the showing
Okay.
yourself grace, because that's something I have to deal with is, with my daughter is like, just, you do the best you can. Like her and my son are completely different. And it's like in my head, I'm like, did I do something, wrong? And it's like, no, you're doing the best you can. Kids don't come with manuals, and, same thing, being a wife, being a partner. It's like, you do the best that you can, and you do have to, show yourself grace, because you can't beat yourself up about everything. So yes, I agree with that. I like that.
Okay,
I have
great.
a question. So, what does not choosing yourself look like?
For me, like for instance, I feel like yesterday was probably one of the days that I was pushed to the limit. Was waking up for basketball practice, got to be at the school for 6:45, so I'm waking up super early, and that's not for me. So I'm waking up super early, going to work, and of course, staying late for extracurricular, whatever it is, tutoring, whatever, and just exhausting yourself. So for me, that's not as like, what did I do for myself today? It's like I did stuff for everybody else, woke up early for my daughter, stayed late for my students. Like I did stuff for everyone. So, I'm coming home, I'm gonna fix me a cup of tea, and I'm gonna just sit and just, relax. Like you said, journal. I do journal. So not choosing myself is just completely just doing stuff for everyone else. And, you're depleted at the end of the day, and, nothing was done for you.
Yeah.
What about you,
Um,
China?
not choosing yourself or not choosing myself looks like kind of what Kamisha was saying, in the sense of it seemed like it's you're putting someone else, whether it's their priorities above yours.
Mhm.
And so it's like what made what they want so special where it was okay to put yours to the side, or yours like on the back burner, to make sure someone else, um, in a sense, got their flowers. So just like, not choosing yourself, they're just like if, someone like, hey, let's go. I bought you a drink. I don't want that drink. But I feel obligated to drink that because they spent their money on it, right? But at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, if that's not really what I want, why do I have to drink that drink? But that's how not choosing myself look like. I'm more than likely I'm gonna drink it because they bought it. I don't want them to feel like they wasted their money or different things like that. So it can be something as simple as that. But I just feel like prioritizing other people's priorities
Mm-hmm.
and being okay with being left undone in a sense.
And as you were talking, I was thinking, like, ladies, like, does that give a time to like people pleasing?
Of course.
Would you consider yourself to be a people pleaser?
I wouldn't consider myself to be a people's pleaser. I think in the past I have been. I'm more of a. I'm definitely a perfectionist, and I feel like I'm good at my craft. So when I say that, like come with my daughter, taking her everywhere she wants to go, like being the perfect parent. Or even like, being a teacher and tutoring my students. Like I want my kids to have the highest grades and I want them to be the best. I don't feel like I am a people pleaser. I can see how that sounds like that though. But for me, it's like, no, it's just, I'm doing what I feel like is best at the moment. For instance, like there was one time where my friend invited me out and we kept rescheduling. And of course it's like, yeah, I want to go, but I'm tired. So no, I chose me. I stayed in. It's like, no, I'm good. Maybe next time. So no, I know my limits. And at that point it's like, no, it's about me. So, I do choose myself in those moments.
What about you, Keezy?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I am a people pleaser, but I won't necessarily deem it all in a negative connotation because I am a naturally like a servant. Like I like making people happy. I like, people being able to like experience me and it have some type of positive impact or what have you. So I think the issue of where it just becomes problematic is when you prioritize it over your own self, right? So I try to set a boundary with it. I feel like more so recently, in these mid-30s, I have been coming more into, having a fine line boundary on people pleasing, but I wouldn't necessarily just deem it all the way like negative, just because I am naturally like a people person.
Mm-hmm.
And also acts of service is my love language, so I like, doing things. However, I will say this, I think Kamisha, you were just talking about events, right? And so I would find myself sometimes like overextending myself. Oh yeah, I can come to this, I can come to that. And then it comes to the day and I'm like, oh, I really don't feel like going. I really don't feel like going. And I used to force myself to go and be like, okay, but you said that you're going to go, so you need to go because you need to be dependable. But sometimes choosing yourself looks like, why be in a space where you really know that you don't want to be there?
Right.
Like that's not good for you, and it's also not fair and good for the person either, because you're not showing up like as the best version or supportive version of yourself that you should. So sometimes it's okay to be like, no, I'm just not gonna go. And I feel like your true friends and family, like they will understand that my presence may not be there physically, but it doesn't necessarily mean I don't support you or I don't love you. In this moment, I'm just choosing myself because I could have had a hellish of a week or just not be feeling the best or, just whatever. So I have learned to just like, okay, don't go somewhere where you really didn't want to go because, yeah, it's no good for nobody.
Yeah.
Right. I'll tell you one thing that one of my moments that I can't get over myself is that I actually truly chose myself over the was it the break from, what do we have? Thanksgiving, right? So Thanksgiving, we had a whole week off. And when I tell you, I watched more TV that week than I have in the last 2 years. I was like, I'm not doing anything. Like I lay in the bed, binge watch shows. And of course it's kind of like, I should be doing something. No, I truly like didn't pick up a piece of paper, like to grade. Like I wasn't answering calls, like texts. And I just truly I just enjoyed that moment. I was like, no, this is me time. I'm a chill, I'm a relax. And it was nice. It's like, I'm still shocked about it. Like I did that. Like,
yeah.
Got you. Yeah. With the people pleasing, and just because I came across something, do you feel obligated? Like when someone calls you, right? And you miss their call, do you feel obligated to call them back?
No.
Do you feel obligated? Because people get offended. Like I know she's saying, and I'm kind of guilty of it. I'm not saying that they have to call me back immediately, But do you feel obligated to return phone calls or respond to text messages? And where does that fall? Like, where does that fall?
No, not for me because I really don't like talking on the phone much. I talk to a select few on the phone. Like when I say select, like probably two, three. Um, and like literally three. I prefer texting over talking over the phone because I feel like talking just requires a lot of energy and effort. So it may be a little bit lazy of me to just prefer to text, but that's my preference. But I will like legit read something, answer it in my head, and forget to respond, and then like a week later come back like, oh girl, yeah, I do have that. Or hi, I'm good. How you been? Sorry for the delayed response. However, again, I feel like the people that I surround myself with now in my life, they understand. Like we are all busy. We are all out here working, taking care of families, trying to survive this social climate, trying to like just survive life in general. So they don't take it personally that like I didn't respond to their text or I didn't pick up their call. I feel like if it's urgent, then they would follow it up with a text message and say, "Hey, please call me. It's urgent," or what have you. Um, so, and I don't get upset when people do the same to me, because I understand it. And if it's something of urgency, then, I make that known. If they don't answer, I follow up with a text message
Yeah.
or what have you. But I think we have to, as a society, like get out of self in a sense, as far as like taking things so personally.
Yeah.
Because, just because I didn't answer your phone call or just because I didn't come to your event or just because, ooh, I didn't get invited.
Yeah.
Don't mean that like, oh, this person didn't want me there or we're not
Or I thought we were
cool.
better than that.
Right, we're not cool or whatever. And that may not be the case at all. It may just be the people that were in that space. That person may have knew that you don't gel with those, or it wouldn't be a good
Mhm.
fit, or that particular environment space wasn't the right setting. But next week at the birthday party, next month at my birthday, I want you there. Like,
Yeah.
so I think we have to just, as a society, like get out of the space of taking everything like so personal. Because
Yeah.
a lot of times it's really not. It's really not personal. It's really not that deep. Like
Yeah.
it's not.
I like that. I think that comes with maturity, especially being older. That because I used to be one of those like I called you, why you didn't answer the phone, like why you didn't text me back,
Yeah.
but now it's like I am busy. I understand when you don't
So
answer
you
the phone,
understand.
and like you said, when you call people, they don't answer. It's like, hey, wasn't nothing important, just hit me up when you get a chance, or I just wanted to see such and such. So I'll send a text afterwards, but no, I don't feel obligated to call or text, especially not immediately. Like once I
Yeah.
get a moment and I think about it, I will definitely hit you back. So no.
Gotcha. All right. So our next question, we're talking about how have past setbacks shaped who you are today. So let's start with you, Keezy, this time.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Like I can think of so many setbacks, but I feel like it shaped me significantly. The one that stands out to me the most, which I always feel like God gave me the testimony for a reason, will put me through the test so I can talk about the testimony, which is when I dealt with infertility. And I considered, uh, dealing with that, having three miscarriages, um, not starting a family as soon as I had kind of like anticipated or dreamed or planned was a setback for me. But at the end of the day, like now I realize everything happened for a reason, and I am so much more of a better mother because I feel like I just appreciate not saying that people who, oops, I'm pregnant, don't appreciate their children, but the fact that I like really not only just planned and really wanted it and struggled to get it, I feel like it made me more appreciative and more sentimental, like as a mother. And those days where like, ooh, my kids are getting on my nerves, like I will take the moment and say, girl, but these are the days that you prayed about at one point in time.
Yeah.
You have to remember, like, you begged God for this, begged and pleaded and everything else, and God was sick of you talking about a baby. And so I feel like that was like, dealing with infertility was one of my biggest setbacks that shaped me so significantly as a mother, and I'm so grateful for it. Like, still to this day, I feel like everything happened exactly when it was supposed to happen. I feel like I wouldn't have been the mother that I wanted to be in my 20s, my early 20s. So I feel like me having a baby right at the cusp of 30 was timing for me, because I needed to mature. Like, I needed to mature as a wife, as a woman, as a friend. And then having girls, especially, made me just look at myself as a woman, and who essentially I wanted my daughters to see as a representative of somebody that they may aspire to be. That's the one that sticks out to me the most. The secondary probably would be like setbacks professionally, because I feel like essentially every setback just set me up for like a comeback, and in every situation I was able to come back like even stronger, and essentially like climb the ladder and get like a higher position. So yeah, those are two that like really stand out to me.
Gotcha. What about you, Kamisha? What you felt like? What do you feel has happened in the past that has shaped and made you who you are today?
So, of course, the biggest thing was it happened. Never forget. It was last February 14th. Went in for a mammogram. Never forget. And long story short, find out I had breast cancer. Had no idea what was in store. So, of course, came home to Mardi Gras, enjoyed myself. I think I told maybe like two people, and came home, and, treatment start pretty much instantly. And for me, it's like, I feel like there was nothing that could prepare me for the treatment, the chemo, and the mental, physical, like nothing. So for me, that that will forever be the biggest thing. Days where you didn't want to get out the bed, days where you literally just like, Lord, take me now. Like I can't do this anymore. Like, it was days that were like a struggle. And so eyes getting all watery now. It was a struggle. And so, you did have to be dependent on other people. And I'm telling you, like, I don't know where I got the energy from to wake up and go to work, because I worked through the whole thing. I would go to work and sleep like every chance I got, every moment I got lunch, I'm like sleep. Like, it was rough. And as soon as I go home, I get in the tub and go straight to bed. So for me, has that shaped me? It shaped me, I came closer with God. Like, I've always been, my faith has always been strong, but that right there, it showed me, it's like, God will bring you through anything. Yes, he will take you through it, but he will bring you through anything.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I always use it to the days that I haven't been to the gym in a while, but those days where I'm like, I say a while, but I haven't been consistently going in a while. It's like, I'll have my days where I go 1 or 2 days. But the days that I need to go and I'm like, no, I don't feel like it. And it's like, girl, there were days you could barely walk. Like, if you don't go to the gym. So I definitely use that as motivation, because I always tell myself, if I ever, make it through this, there's no excuses for anything. Like, days I was so weak that, I could barely lift my arm, like so sore. I could barely climb upstairs. Like, I was just like, nothing will ever stop me from, doing the stuff that I need to do to take care of myself. So for me, that's just one of my things, is like, if you made it through chemo, you made it through, because they were like, yeah, you have to go through like one of the more rigorous ones. And because I had to do chemo and radiation, and I had to do like 4 different, it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I was going to make it through. So that's my motivation. It's like, anytime I'm like, I can't do this, it's like, girl, you made it through that. You could do this. So yeah, so that's my thing right there.
Got you. That's what's up. Because I didn't know about it until I came to Texas for the football game.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about it. I'm like, Oh my goodness! But I think you were on the other side of it. You was on this side of it,
Yeah, I was doing
and
radiation actually at that time.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so that was. I think I was just kind of like surprised, just because that hit closer to home than I expected, and not even like going through and wasn't, but anyway, it was great to see this, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, and you still smiling and still going and getting up, keep going, and like here and being able to like share that with somebody who maybe actually going through it like right now.
It's rough because I still have side effects from the chemo, and it's like, I get nauseous like random days, and it's just certain things, and it's like I'll be glad when it's done, but I thank you. I thank you for getting me through it. This is the end of it. So yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Um, let's see. Why do we often struggle? And we kind of talked about that when we were just talking about what does choosing ourselves look like. But why do we often struggle to prioritize ourselves, and how can we start shifting that mindset? So we can actually break that down to two separate questions or just go into one. But why do we struggle to prioritize ourselves? Like what makes someone else happiness? What makes someone else joy? Because most likely I feel like when we find ourselves prioritizing someone else, is because we're trying to make them happy or we're trying to please them or different things like that. So what makes someone else priorities outweigh ours?
I could start with that one if you
Go
don't
ahead.
mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
For me, I kind of, I kind of feel this one. For me, being a wife and a mom, I always put my family first. So I've always, had prioritized them. I had a son who played two different sports and on two different teams. And then I have my daughter who, she was younger and she was in Girl Scouts. I was the leader. Like, anything that my kids wanted to do and there was nobody to do it, I stepped in. It's like, oh, you don't have a coach for this? I'll be that coach. Don't worry about it. Oh, you don't have a Girl Scout leader? I'll be that leader. And at the same time, I got to be a wife. And, you just want everybody in your family to be happy. Like, so for me, it's like I prioritize my family and I don't feel bad about it, but I was tired. There was days where like I sit down to watch TV and I was asleep. Like I was tired. Um, so what makes you prioritize? For me, it was my family. My family came first and they came over me. And it's just something that I had to shift my mindset of. It's like, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be here to take care of them. So that's kind of how, my family definitely.
Got you.
I'll jump in. I think that the reason why we struggle prioritizing ourselves is because we weren't taught to prioritize ourselves. Like as a culture, and when I see, of course, I know we have a wide audience, but we're representative of three Black women. And essentially, if you think about it, like I know in my household, I didn't see my mom prioritizing herself. I didn't see my grandmother prioritizing herself, or my aunts. When I think about just like the women that I was surrounded with, I saw them like work and provide for the family. And if they took vacations, they were taking family vacations, and those were rare and few. I actually think about that. Me and my brother talked about this not too long ago. It was like, if you really think about it, even us, like our generation, right? Like, how many vacations did we really take? Like, and if we did, like, I just remember ours being like in Gulf Shores, which is 2 hours away. But in today's society, it's like that's the thing. People take multiple vacations, like a year, but grandma and granddaddy and great, they didn't do that stuff. Like, and so I think essentially just as a population, we just weren't, for me, we weren't taught that. Even time back to like the wellness retreat thing, it was hard. Well, not hard. More so recently, the Black women's wellness became a thing. And I remember someone asked me, well, what was so significant about a Black woman's wellness retreat? And I'm like, because there weren't any before. Like, other races done wellness retreats all the time, do massages, just do more self-care. But for Black women, we just didn't. And it's become more so recent years where we have started prioritizing our health, working out, and just taking better care of ourselves. Like, more Black women are in therapy. We know Black women are leading in graduation rates and things of this sort. So I think that we can start to shift that mindset by first just starting with yourself. Start prioritizing yourself more. And I know for me, I was actually just talking to Trina about it earlier, like with my daughters, making sure that I spend time with them like individually so that they can have like their one-on-one time and don't feel like they have to share everything. Also, just helping them to understand and create boundaries early. So I think first is like you being representative is probably like the most important way of like shifting that. And as I related to earlier, like giving yourself grace, know that like it is okay to prioritize yourself. And just going from there.
And you were talking about, us prioritizing our health, stuff like that. And I think if I had to chime in on it, I think it would be more so because I feel like as a Black culture, we are okay with talking about mental health more. Back in the day, mental health, you didn't talk about that, right? So I think you see more Black people talking about going to therapy. But that still goes with, because I'm trying to protect my mental health, right? I'm trying to figure out how to set these healthy boundaries, like that's a big phrase that came in, healthy boundaries. Like we didn't know anything about that, but when we saw it and when we heard about it and when we understood what it was, we prioritized making that like integrating that in our life, right? Because like if I can say no and I can stand on that no, because all it really takes is that one time. Because sometimes it's hard to tell somebody that, especially you love, like, no, right? So when you learn to tell them no that one time or that first time, I feel
without
like
an explanation.
Without an explanation, that's a key.
No.
Yeah, just no, because that what they say, no is a complete sentence, right? So you tell them no, then it's easier to say no again. But sometimes like it's just so hard to do it like initially. But I think prioritizing ourselves, because I think the struggle came because we couldn't talk about mental health before. We couldn't talk about therapy. I'm like, ain't no therapy. You don't go in there, sit down somewhere. Like, so it's like you're
I'm a therapy your butt.
Right. Right.
I'm a stress your butt.
Right. No much stress. Like you too. Back in the day we were too young to be stressed, right? We were too young to what you over there looking. Ain't nothing wrong with you too. We don't even have something wrong with you. Right. But like I think that's where I think we feel like it's okay more so like now to prioritize ourselves, because we are, I think, just more self-aware. Right. And we are okay with being better. And we are okay with wanting to be better than like our parents were, And I think that's what it is, because we want to grow. We want to, like they talk about breaking these generational curses and different things like that. We are okay with doing that. And sometimes people, especially like the older generation, they see that term generational curse. What you mean breaking the generation? Exactly what I said, but they get offended by that. Felt like, because they feel like maybe they did something wrong. But no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like, if I want to go to college, or I want to do this, I want to do that, but if no one else has done that in my family, that's breaking a generational curse, right? But they just, I guess, look at the word curse and it's a bad thing. Yeah. And so that's how I feel, but that's how I feel like, as far as like, I think where we are more open to prioritizing ourselves and being vocal about it is because the things that people couldn't talk about back in the day, like especially Black women are more vocal about things now, how I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you got going on up there, Kamish?
Nothing. I mean, I agree. I think the biggest thing is, showing the next generation of what they should be doing and how it should be done. And it is breaking a cycle. So it's going on those vacations, and is you're not feeling well. It is calling out, for the day. It's like I don't feel like doing this, or your kid isn't feeling that well. And I used to hate, oh, you want to stay home? What? And it's like, no, it's okay. It's okay to take you time. It's okay to take a break. So it's
Yeah.
just, setting it up to where your kids are comfortable to come and talk to you about anything. And, setting those boundaries. And I think it does start with us, and, letting our kids know and letting them see, what's okay and what's acceptable now.
So how do you feel like, do you think you answer that as far as like, how can you feel like we start shifting that mindset? Or do you have like, I mean, I know there's no right blueprint or no one size fit all blueprint that like, if we do this, this is going to automatically shift. Cause I know everyone is different. So everyone's journey and everyone's take on or approach on something is going to differ. So what does shifting mindsets in a sense of prioritizing ourselves look like?
I think one of the things is it's kind of like not so much prioritizing yourself, but shifting the mindset. So for me, I'm always trying to look for something that's, positive in everything. For instance, like this morning, we I wake normally we wake up on Fridays, we'll go to work. I'll go to school early. My daughter goes to school with me, and we'll go to Starbucks. I woke up early and I didn't want to get out the bed. So my plan was get up, get her up. We leave the house at 6:30. And I laid there. And so, of course, she comes in 10 till 7. Mom, let's go. We got to go to Starbucks. Like, she was thinking the same thing. And I was like, oh, okay. So I finished getting dressed, and we were heading out the door, and she's at the faucet filling up her cup. And I'm like, thought we was ready. So long story short, we on our way, and there was a fatality. There was an accident on the road that we were headed on. And it was just one of those things, it's like, thank you, Lord. That's all I could say. It was like, yeah, we didn't leave early enough to go to Starbucks, but and I expressed that to her, and I was like, you see how things like this happen? I said, I'm not saying that we would have been in the accident. I said, but who was to say that we wouldn't have been there when it happened? And, just, showing her like when things happen, it's not always bad. So I just wanted her to see my mindset on that I thank God in that process that we didn't leave at 6:30, because that very well could have been us in that accident or, a part of it. So once again, for me, it's showing them, how things should be done, and, letting them know and get inside your head with you. And so for me, that's it. Is leading by example. And, I feel like the kids will soon follow, after you.
What about you, Shakizia?
I think piggybacking off of what Kamisha said, I think that just speaking more positive affirmations can create like shifting of a mindset. Like one thing that I want to share, in therapy, I learned this thing called think stop. So like whenever you start to think negatively, whether or not that's like about yourself or about someone else, like stop that thought and then start writing down like something positive, and speaking those things out loud. So I think that the mind is like one of the strongest things we have like in the body. And so it's like if we just learn to like control and have more conscious like awareness of controlling our thoughts essentially, it can just help us, create that shift essentially.
Got you. And I agree. I think being more intentional, just like you said, as far as like, sharing with your daughter, like this could have been, not necessarily saying like this is what was going to happen, but just even just speaking that, you know what I'm saying? In a sense of like, look, things happen for a reason. Like I laid there for a reason, like that is real, and so, and I feel like, and just like Keezy talked about, affirmations and different things like that, being intentional with happiness, I feel like ultimately shifts your mind. I remember either I read something or I heard something, but anyway, it was just like talking about how um, you have to be intentional, like as far as like being happy, right? So if you feeling down, you're like, dang, all I just want to do be happy. I just want to smile. Like even just the thought of that will, and I do it all the time. Like like it will just bring a smile upon your face. Just you thinking about, all I really want to do is smile. Even just like that thought. But I think just like I think we just overall we have to just be more intentional. I find myself having to be more intentional with everything. If I want to have a great day, I think those thoughts, regardless of what it is, like if I don't want to get up, like, man, I don't really feel like getting up. But one, I know I have to get up. So, like, it ain't even no point of even sitting up here trying to, because at the end of the day, I got to get up, got to go to work, right? So It's just like, I have to choose like how that's going to, what that's going to look like for me. Like I can go in there with like, I don't feel like being here today. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change anything because at the end of the day, I still have to be there, right? So that's why I'm saying I just find myself being more intentional with peaceful thoughts.
Yes.
Being more intentional with just my happiness in general is just what we got to do. So I think we have one more question and we're going to get up out of here. How do you balance embracing setbacks? Because we've talked about the setbacks, choosing yourself, embracing them, and then finding a way forward, right? So let's talk about trying to find our way forward after we embrace these setbacks while maintaining a focus forward mindset. Like, how do you do that? Let's start with you, Keezy.
I think for me, is holding myself accountable, right? Like with even practicing that thing that I talked about, think stop, speaking more positively about myself, about others, can essentially like just help me to maintain like that forward focused mindset, not thinking about what didn't go right or the past, trying to let go and forget about that and think of the just more positives like overall for me. And like I said, also surrounding myself with people who think that same way, because essentially, what they say, birds of a feather flock together, so to say. And what is that, one rotten apple to ruin it, what I'm saying. Anyway, anywho, yeah, so it's like, if you're surrounding yourself with people who are not forward focused, and who are just always negative Nancy's or what have you, essentially you'll find yourself falling back into those same setbacks. So I think your environment is extremely, extremely important as it comes to moving forward.
Yeah. What
Even
about you?
social media, like to piggyback off of social media, like there's times where I take breaks and people are like, oh, you taking a break again? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I need it. It's like, social media and everything is cracked up to be, and it could take a toll on your mental health too. So yes. So for me, it's one of those things I've learned to like process disappointment without judgment. It's like, things happen. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna go and eat a piece of that cake, and I might have a couple more slices with it, even though I know, that's not the best. But it's for me, it's like knowing that, what, we gonna do better tomorrow. It's like disappointments are gonna happen. The other thing is it's celebrating small wins for me. It's like, you can't win them all. You take it piece by piece. And I have this one friend, like every little thing, I was like, oh, we should go celebrate. You want to celebrate everything.
Why not?
Right. Why not? It's like, and when I say that, it's more like, we should, you should be happy. Let's just go, grab a drink. I don't drink, but, let's go grab something to eat or something or whatever the case is. But it's like, let's do something.
Right.
No, you want to celebrate everything. So for me, it's like just celebrating the wins or at least acknowledging it. I don't get happy about stuff like that. It's like, why not?
But why
You
not?
should pat
Right.
yourself on the back for something. So for me, it's definitely celebrating those small wins. It's like, yeah, it might not be big to you, but it's like it's those baby steps. It's those little steps that get you where you're trying to go. So I think that's the biggest thing is just, embracing all of that.
That's a great one, actually, Kamisha. Are you a therapist? No, like, my therapist actually talked about that, like, so much about celebrating the small wins. And like literally everything. Couple months ago, I won an award, and she was like, "What did you do to celebrate?" And I was like, nothing. And she was like, "Why not? Like, you need to do something to celebrate." I was like, "Oh, I met my weight goal. What did you do to celebrate?" And I'm like, nothing. And she was like, if you learn to celebrate those small wins, essentially you will learn to be more appreciative of the progress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you don't take time to like essentially like sit in it, it's just like checking something off. Okay, let's move to the next thing. Let's move to the next thing. And sometimes it takes a matter of you like being still and like celebrating without, okay, I done this, I accomplished this goal, let me think about the next goal. Like, no, just sit in the accomplishment and reflect on that and celebrate that without creating something else in that process or what have you. So that's a gem right there. That's a gem.
I got you. All right, ladies. Well, thank you all for coming and hang out with me at Closet of Kids Combos Vibes Unleashed. Today we just talked about, the secrets of choosing yourself, embracing setbacks, and finding your way forward. I think pretty much we just said that you gotta stay positive. Understand that life gives you the ups, the downs, and all that in between, but we have to tackle those things one step, one journey, at a time. We're gonna celebrate those small wins because every win is worth celebrating, whatever that celebration looked like for you. And so stay positive, stay focused. I appreciate y'all again for coming to hang out with me again. And until the next time, peace.
Peace.